Hi, YouTube. I'm going to get on Facebook here. Try. Hi. Yep. Okay. We're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome. It is 5:30 on Monday, November the 9th. It's been a minute, but wanted to check in tonight with really my primary topic being COVID-19. So, several districts in our region and districts across the state have been taking a look at community spread in their region, taking a look at community spread in their schools, and as a result have needed to make alternate arrangements, right, for the deployment of education in their school districts. And I've been asked the question a lot about Brown County and what our plans are for COVID response in our community. And tonight, I just thought that it would be helpful for you all to hear where we are with the current coronavirus response in Brown County, and can certainly answer any questions that you might have. And I'm going to try, based on some notes that I jotted down, to answer some questions that have been asked of me over the last few days here as other communities have changed their return to school plans in response to their unique situations. So wanted to start there and let you all know that at this time, we have not changed any of our return to school plan protocols. Our tracker for determining whether or not we are on green, yellow, or red is based on the percentage, I should say, not number, but percentage of students in a building who are presenting with symptoms of COVID-19. And we have been doing that analysis since the very first day of school, and it has been serving us well as we have tracked students who are home with symptoms for COVID-19. And then certainly we also have a tracking system for students who are indicated as a close contact of a student with COVID-19 or an adult with COVID-19. And we also then track anyone who is positive with the coronavirus. So clearly, we wish that we had a situation where no one was presenting as positive with COVID-19, but we are certainly in that scenario. And so our protocols are deployed to make sure that our learning spaces are as safe as they possibly can be. We are lucky with a couple of different pieces. This is when being a small rural school community is helpful. We do have smaller class sizes, right? We have more room to spread out, and we have the ability to make sure that protocols are being followed as best as we possibly can. There's always room for improvement, of course, right? It's never perfect, but we show up every day really trying to do our very best. So our protocols have been such that when we have a positive case, if it is a student or a staff member, then one of our initial phone calls, either we're receiving the phone call or we need to make the phone call if we've been notified another way, is to the Brown County Health Department. And they have been a great resource for us to be able to analyze the situation and then be responsive to whatever that particular situation requires. Something important in our ability to be responsive is that really each case can be so incredibly unique. So you can have a case where we need to close school the next day. And then you can have a case where we don't need to close school the next day. And I want to kind of unpack a little bit about, why that is the case, because I think that there's been some confusion out there, and I get it. I mean, this is all new, right? Still, every day we are unpacking and figuring the best way to do school under a pandemic. But our process has been that we unpack each individual case, and depending on the level of contact, depending on how long it's been since the student has been or not been in school, how long the adult has been or not been at school, if there was very limited exposure, if there has been a considerable amount of time since that person was at school. Remember, and I'm so grateful when this is the case, families are beginning to really be aware of the fact that when we have symptoms, when we're presenting with symptoms, that we should not ever go to school, right? So sometimes when symptoms develop, a family keeps their child at home. That child might end up being positive, but because they kept their child home, then there aren't any close contacts sometimes, or there might not be as many as if we had a situation where someone was coming to school symptomatic. So that's why that is such a critical piece, to be able to ensure that every single morning we're monitoring for symptoms, and every day we stay home if we're not feeling well. And that goes for students and that goes for staff. So we have had cases where we find out that a student is positive, they've been at school all day, or we find out that a faculty member is positive and they've been at school all day. That's a different protocol than if you have a situation where you have a student or staff member who turn up positive, but they haven't been to school for a week prior and they were not symptomatic at that time, right? So it's a very interesting process, and that's probably why we get the questions that we get, like, well, why did you not close the high school when you closed the junior high school for a day for cleaning? All of that is very, very unique. And so each case, we don't like to publish the parameters of the case because that can be quite identifying for an individual. So we try to protect privacy as deeply and as extensively as we can. And so we don't tell the story, right, of who is positive and how they were positive and when we knew they were positive, because then others who don't need to know would know critically important health information about a student. So it's really I think important this evening that you understand that when a case happens, we don't have just a one size fits all response. We look at the case, we unpack the case, and we really try to figure out what is the best and healthiest way for us to be able to either not return to school the next day because we need to do a deeper sanitization and clean, or if in consultation with the health department, we feel like it is okay to be able to return to school the next day with measures put into place, then we will and do, right? So I know it's been really hard, and it's been hard these last couple of weeks in particular. We were really worried post fall break that the number of cases would rise, and I think that worry has been translating, right? So we have seen positive cases happening with students and with adults in our schools. What has been encouraging to see is that spread doesn't seem to be happening at school. So we might have a positive case, but what we're not seeing is a spread of that virus, right? On any kind of expansive level at school. So that is encouraging. And we continue to analyze our data daily to make sure that the symptoms are aligning with our plan. We do have a green plan that we are on now that informs all this coming to school every day, all day. We have a yellow plan. That yellow plan is a hybrid model where half of our students come for half of the week and the other half come for the other half. And Wednesdays are always a day when we don't go to school, but we do remote learning. So that yellow plan has been something that we haven't needed to move a school to yet, but it is something that is always on our minds. And as we analyze our data, that might be a step that we would have to take. That's what we see some other school districts doing, some schools that have data that is informing that they need to be making that extra level of intervention. They're there now. And for now, on November the 9th at 5:40, we're not. But I think what's really critically important is that we are always open to the fact that it might happen. And if it happens, then we'll make that transition and we'll be supportive to the greatest lengths that we can be to ensure that high quality instruction continues to be delivered, if that is ultimately a situation that needs to happen in our school district. So we continue to monitor. We'll monitor obviously the data every day. And then another piece that is deeply concerning to us is that we also have to monitor the number of staff that we have. Um, if we have a situation where several staff members, teachers need to be out and we don't have enough substitute teachers, if we have a situation where we don't have enough bus drivers, if we have a situation where we just don't have enough staff, enough employees to be able to come to work and to be able to make work happen safely, then that's a consideration, right? So that's another piece when we look at our data daily that we are thoughtful about in our consideration for if we are able to return to school. So a lot that's going on. Another piece to this that I think is important is the Indiana State Department of Health map. They have a map that is updated every day on Wednesday. And that map actually color codes each county based on a variety of data points. So certainly number of positive cases, percentages, rates, all of that are incorporated into a formula. And that formula informs whether or not the county is a certain color. And the color determins level of response. So I heard actually that we were the only county. Heard that on the news it was indicated that at a national level that Brown County was the only blue county this last week, the week that we're in now, in the state of Indiana, and that is true. We were the only blue county in Indiana. Indiana, of course, like other states that are experiencing the same sorts of increases, have witnessed, sort of once the weather has turned colder, once more people are inside, that we've seen an increase in rates. And Brown County, right, over the last couple of weeks has really been able to hold with that that lower level of spread. So I am very much expecting that tomorrow night or Wednesday morning, when that map is updated, I would expect that we will see a change. It seems like we have had enough positive cases that are being reported in our daily updates that we would see something like that happen. So we'll talk with our health department and we'll see if there are any changes that we need to make based on that color and our plan. We really are, our corporation nurse is in touch with the health department at least daily, sometimes more, to make sure that we are prepared for the next day of school. I just really want you to understand that tomorrow's school day is always being considered today. So tomorrow we'll be thoughtful about what school looks like the next day. We think in a short-term way, and then we also think in a long-term strategy for what we need to be thinking about to make sure that we continue to educate your children well in Brown County. So we are going to be mindful of that map if that color is changed and if there are needs to be additional interventions that take place, we'll be ready to do that if that needs to be the case. And again, the health department being a critical component in that conversation. One question that we got that is, I think, really completely appropriate, and I get why you might be asking the question, so I just wanted to unpack it right now. We have in our school system Parent Square. Parent Square has the ability to notify families via email, text, and phone call. So we have been using intentionally the phone call only when we have a need to close school. I'm going to say that again. The phone call has only been used when we need to close a school. And we've been using the phone call to all of our contacts. So I've gotten some grumpy messages because the junior high closed, but my kid goes to another school. Why am I getting this phone call? Why am I getting this phone call? So we've done that intentionally. We want to make sure that when a school closes, and these closures are unlike anything that we do with inclement weather, right? Like with inclement weather, everyone is closed. But with these closures, typically one of our schools has been closed at a time. So we want to get that phone call out to our entire school community because just in case you know of a neighbor, or you know of a family member, or you know, right? I mean, we all pretty much have lots of connections here in this community. But then you can be mindful to say, oh, okay, junior high doesn't have school tomorrow, but I know that I need to send my kids to school because they go to school in a different school. We just really want to have you all have as much information as possible, but then also understand that there might be a school on a day that is not in session. So that's why we use the phone call. Only if school is closed the next day, okay? And then the email notification is because we want to continue to update you all on our positive cases. So that was a commitment that we made to you in the very beginning. We didn't want to be shy or secretive or fill in the blank. We didn't want to be that. We wanted to be transparent. We wanted to be open. And we wanted to earn your trust with how we were responding to this situation. So we very much so, every time that we have a positive case, we have been sharing that information, letting you all know that if there are close contacts, that we have named those close contacts, that they have been picked up, that they are in quarantine, and that we are deploying the model. So just an important piece for us to make sure that you are aware that if there is a positive case and there are close contacts and that things at school needed to happen, but we didn't need to close school, we'll send you that email so you have that update. If we need to close school, that's when the phone call happens, okay? So there were some grumpy Gusses out there who weren't so happy that we weren't wanted to have a phone call all the time. The reason why we don't do that is because if we start sending phone calls all the time, you're going to stop answering your phone. And we don't want that to happen. The phone call is for a true situation where we need everyone to pay attention. And we really try to limit the phone calls for that purpose. Okay. So just so you know a little bit of our thinking, you might not agree with us. That is okay. But that's kind of where we are with that thought process. And then lastly, I wanted to talk under the umbrella of COVID, just to kind of talk about athletics and extracurricular programming in the winter. So we do have athletic programming happening in the winter, not just at the high school, but we do as well at the junior high school and the intermediate school. And we had a fall sports program that was approved by a plan that was approved by our health department so that we could deploy fall athletic programs as well as fall extracurricular activities. We also had to pull together a winter athletics and extracurricular plan. And I want to tell you that is not a plan that is just submitted to the health department and then is just passed back and, rubber stamped. I think that thing went back and forth 3 or 4 times. So health department gave us feedback. We modified the plan. We resubmitted. Health department gave us feedback. We modified. We resubmitted. So just know that these are plans that are very deeply thought through. And for now, we are approved to be holding winter athletics, winter extracurricular activities, which is great. I will let you know that we clearly understand that we have very limited spectators that are permitted at these events. So your athletic directors, your sponsors of your winter activities, anyone who is your directors, anyone who might be involved in your winter programming will start to communicate with families about what kind of restrictions we have in place as far as number of spectators. Here's the great thing, and I know it can get frustrating, but the great thing is this: our students get to play. They get to play athletics. They get to play in the band, they get to perform, they get to be and enjoy as much as we possibly can this winter sports athletic season and extracurricular season. So while we have limited number of tickets and while we'll have lots of community members that are disappointed because they might not be able to make it to an event, we are being super mindful to release tickets first to parents and then make sure that we have our capacities being hit, and that once we reach capacity, we we just can't allow any more tickets in. It is a laborious process. No one likes it. We would love to have the problem of too many fans at all of our events, but this year we're going to need to limit the number of fans. We're going to do it. It's going to be fine. And the most important thing is that we are going to think about our athletes, we're going to think about our musicians, we're going to think about our performers, and we're going to think about how our students are going to get to experience those occasions, right? And we're going to try and keep at this for as long as we possibly can. Really, thoughtful about making it to winter break, making it to spring break, making it to summer break, right? These milestone moments. We made it really far, and I feel like we're going to be able to do well this winter. We just need to follow the steps. We need to follow our protocols, and we just need to love and lift up our kids as they are able to enjoy these experiences that make it special to be a student, right? To be enrolled and be engaged as a student athlete or student performer or student musician. So those things are in the process of being communicated. We have our first home Lady Eagles basketball game Saturday. And so I know that group is working with Mr. Bruner to ensure that we have our parents notified first for tickets, and then we will be able to release tickets to our public. Okay, I'm going to check my notes really fast just to make sure that I covered each topic. I think we got it all. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to scroll through and look for questions, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Give me a second while I roll the wheel of fortune here. I am still scrolling, but I appreciate your little heart that you just put up there. Okay, still scrolling. There is a question, and it must have been from a comment that I made, and it's from Katie Lane. Katie, you say, is it not true that the state bases this on a population of 100,000? I'm not really sure what you're referring to there. So if you don't mind to re-comment and give me a little bit more background, I'm sorry. I'm just not sure what I was referencing when you made that comment. So the question is, I guess I don't understand why you would wait until Wednesday to have that discussion with the Board of Health. They would know already that there was a substantial increase in positivity rate in Brown County. Yeah, it's not necessarily us waiting for when the color changes. Our return to school plan currently is based on percentage of symptoms that present in the school. So our plan actually doesn't refer to the color coding of the counties that the Indiana State Department of Health puts out. But we have to be aware and cognizant of what's happening around us and in our community. So currently, if the county were to change a color, our current plan is such that we are using percentage of symptoms to inform our green, yellow, and red. If our health department reaches out and if there is just data that informs that we need to be thoughtful about a different decision, then we'll collaborate on that and we'll talk about it and we'll talk about what needs to be next for us. Question, why are close contacts only if you have been in contact the last 48 hours of a positive case and not 14 days? Is a person not contagious longer than 2 days before when they could have been in contact the last 10 to 14 days? Just trying to understand. So our protocol from Indiana State Department of Health is that all close contacts are informed by the 48 hours prior to a positive case to when symptoms begin. So that's the critical piece there. So symptoms really inform the emergence of the virus, and symptoms then indicate that 48 hours prior, apparently, that that person has been contagious. If we get too clinical here tonight, I'm just going to be super transparent with everybody. I might be called Dr. Hammack, but that's only because I can sit at a desk for a really long time and read a lot of books. That's it. I am not a medical doctor. So if we get into any kind of area where we get clinical, I'm going to have to take your questions. And then we have actually great resources through our health department or the state health department that we can dive a little bit deeper on your clinical questions. But I don't want to get into specifics about contagion and transmission. We know what we follow, which are our protocols that are given to us by the Indiana State Health Department. And they informed to us that 48 hours prior is when you detail those close contacts. So good question, but there might be some deeper dives that we need to do with the State Health Department about why it's 48 hours as opposed to 10 to 14 days. I just don't know the answer to that. Question is, would hybrid learning only happen due to positive COVID cases in school community? Or could hybrid learning come into effect if there's limited staff and students? Yes. So that is one of our concerns, that if we, and I talked about that a little bit earlier, but I've been going on for a while tonight. So yes, if we do get to a case where we just don't have the staff to be able to support in-person instruction, then we will have to make that hybrid learning decision. I've seen some districts, not necessarily in the region, but some districts in the state that have had to make that decision because of that very situation. So we've not been there yet, but that is certainly something that we've seen evidence in districts across the state. Question is, shouldn't we stop letting high school students off campus for lunch to reduce exposure? I think it's a fair statement. Interestingly, when we developed our return to school plans, that was one of the things that we really wanted to be thoughtful about. And one of the highlights that was evidenced is the fact that when students go off campus to lunch, that they're outdoors, and that there is actually the potential for less spread because of more space. I think that you could argue that either way. For now, our plan does permit that students are able to be out during lunch, and they then are able to be outside and not, that there's more space in the cafeterias during the day. But that could very well be a condition that as the winter months come, that might be something that we need to reevaluate. Again, every single day. I mean, every day we're looking at these data points and trying to make sure that the next day is the safest day for our students. Oh, sweet comment. I have a question about available classes for remote high school students. This last trimester, my kids had to retake classes they already passed to have something to take, and was told Plato classes weren't an option for them this time around. Repeat classes, contact the counselors. And he helped. Okay, yeah, sounds like we've got a long, good question, Christina, about getting enrollment sorted out for this trimester. I do understand that there have been some really troubling situations with scheduling for trimester 2. So Mr. Stark has been working hard, as have the whole team down there at the high school, I understand it today, to sort out some of those issues. So it looks like Mr. Stark figured out your problem, but if not, please do reach out to them. They want to fix these gaps that might be in a student's schedule so that we can sort out trimester 2 for you for sure. Oh, interesting question. Yeah, that's a great idea. The question is, would it be possible to live stream the games on the school's YouTube account? We have not talked about that, and I love that idea. So I'm going to write that down. I don't know if we have that capacity, but we're going to look into that. So thank you so much for that recommendation. Oh, I see. Okay, Katie, you're saying that the map color that we should not be blue. I don't know if that's the case or not. So certainly something that I need to look into about that blue indication for Brown County. Understanding that our school plan refers to in-school symptomatic students, will we follow the State Board of Health recommendation to move to hybrid if our county is designated as orange in the future, or continue to follow our local plan regardless, or is that still to be decided? Yeah. So that is really still to be decided. That's what we want to make sure that our plan currently in its inception is such that we are using percentage of symptoms of students that are presenting. If we do change to another color that might inform a different recommendation from our health professionals, we'll collaborate with them. And then, of course, really their feedback will lead the way with what direction we'll take there. So great. So the Bronco High School girls basketball page will give quarter to quarter scores if you can't attend any event. I love it. Thank you for sharing that, Mr. Llewellyn. Thank you. Oh, okay. So I apologize. When I looked at the map, it was blue. I might be apologies. I'm the Indiana State Department of Health map. I might have said it wrong. Was not blue. Said total cases because was not 199. I didn't look at it today. Oh, great. Thank you. So Mr. Phelps, our director of technology, just chimed in and said we might be able to make something like that work with live streaming an event. That's awesome. And then Jen can post on the booster page. It's all coming together. What a great idea. I'm so excited. Thank you. Aw, say hi to Quillen Reeves for me, sweetheart. All right. Okay, guys, I'm at the end of Facebook questions. Let me go to YouTube. Oh, looks like nobody's on YouTube. There are 18 of you here, but no questions. So thanks for joining tonight. I do, just to kind of sum up here, I completely understand that there are questions, and we are deeply, deeply empathetic towards your to your questions. So just keep them coming. I am so grateful that you asked them tonight, and keep them coming. We are here. This is our primary focus. And as questions come up, give me a call, send us an email, me an email, whatever, you name it. We're here for you. We will get through this together. It's getting a little bit harder right now, but yeah, we've got amazing people here, and just an incredible community. I'm just noticing it's so crazy. We started off with these Monday nights in March, right? And that's when the days started to get shorter, longer. I mean, they started to get longer. Now it's pitch black outside. It's so crazy. I've been annoying you on Monday nights for a very long time. All right. Well, you all take care. Thanks for your time tonight. And we'll see you. Okay. Yeah. Thanks so much. Bye, guys. Have a safe night. See you. Bye, YouTube. See ya. I do want to end. Okay.